What up, everybody? Welcome to the third episode of Fandom Xplored. Man, that took a long time, but here we finally are. My apologies for the irregular uploads, but sometimes life and work gets in the way. So to make it all up for you guys, an extra long episode today. And geez, it's about what, an hour and 20 minutes or something? If you guys like longer episodes like this, or if you have any suggestions about topics, feel free to leave a comment and subscribe. I'll check it out. Well, for this episode, I invited my good friend Adam to talk about one of my favorite hobbies, Dungeons and Dragons. It's a long ride, but I hope you guys enjoy. Oh, and as always, don't forget, get yourself a beer. Are you ready for this?
Are you ready for this?
Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Oh man, took me a while, but I'm excited to do this. Talking with you about D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons. Let's go.
So we're gonna start really for people who don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is. What the fuck is Dungeons and Dragons anyway?
That's simple. Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing game in which you can play a role of something you are obviously not. And you slay dragons, you can be a dwarf, you can be whatever you want, as long as it's fantasy. Well, it depends on which roleplay. Well, Dungeons and Dragons, because you can also include steampunk and other things. You can do it high fantasy, low fantasy. So with a lot of magic shit or not.
Yeah. What does it mean? High and low fantasy? Is that different?
For how I see it, high fantasy is with like a lot of magician sorcery going into
Mm-hmm.
other worlds that are very magical, and low fantasy is more you can be a knight and you're gonna slay a few bandits, and then eventually when you're at the highest level you can be, you will slay one dragon. And that was
Oh,
most
right. Yeah. So it's limited. Like there's no such thing as dragons in the world. Or
Yeah, well, but that's how I see it. I don't know if it's like literally how most people see high or low fantasy.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it can change, and it all depends on the DM, I think.
Yeah. Let's
Now the
let's
next question is gonna be, what's the DM?
Yep. That's exactly where I was going with this. Um, we already jumped into this conversation about what Dungeons and Dragons is, but so it's a role-playing game. You play a character that's in fantasy, so you're either a barbarian or a mage or a sorcerer. Um, but there's also something called a dungeon master, right? He's the guy who runs the place.
Yeah, yeah. You have the DM or the dungeon master, and in other role play games, it's also called a GM, like game master.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's like the guy who, um, well, it's the director and the script writer in one, and then the players play in the movie, and that's Dungeons and Dragons. And then you have like DMs like I am, and it's really open world, and my players can almost do whatever they want. And you have the guys that more have, they have a story, a line that needs to be followed, otherwise you won't get to the end of the campaign or the game.
Right. So the DM guy is basically like the director, and the players are the actors in this whole story thing that's been set up by the dungeon master. It's not a written plot. Well, it's not from a book, right? Or
Funny that you say that, because you have books which hold adventures from the first level to level 5 for the characters, or
yeah.
from first level to the end, that's like level 30.
Mm-hmm.
You can work out of a book, and I think a few dungeon masters really do that in a nice way, and you don't have a clue that they are playing from a book. The easy part on that is also that if you need a reference or you don't know something, you can go back into the book.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
already been written then.
yeah, because mostly they put the setting, the countries where you play in, or the planes. So the Earth you're playing on, but you have multiple Earths, so you have multiple planes. Um,
Oh, geez, yeah. That's
yeah,
complicated.
and then you have worlds in worlds.
Wow.
But yeah, so if you have a book, and they have a lot of different book also, especially for worlds, so you can
Hmm.
read anything about the world, and then they highlight a few cities or areas that have potential quests or other things for
Yeah.
to make it easier for the DM. And well, they have retards like me who just build their own world.
And that's not just the world, right? You made the whole universe, I think.
Multiverse.
Ah.
I have 5 main planes,
Yeah,
so 5 Earths to say that you can play on,
yeah,
and the other 16 are also playable, but I'm not going as much in depth as I do with the 5 main planes. For that, I literally, because officially I am graduated as a graphic designer, so I make the
yeah.
maps myself of the worlds, and of
Nice.
the continents, the countries, and also where all the roads are, the cities, the towns, the villages, special sites. You can all do that, and then people can see it in the legenda what is, or
Yeah.
in the legends that is in English. Um, and you also, or at least I also write recent ruler of those countries if you play in a certain era. If you play in a era before, they have other rulers, so there's also a whole history I'm writing. And then comes the funny part, because the worlds my players already know a little bit, but it's like 4% of everything that can happen there.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
every world is linked together in some way, and that's where the whole intrigue and plot making comes. Because one king has enemies, but then who are the enemies of those enemies, and who are double agents and who are not, and then
Yeah. Uh,
eventually it becomes a big web.
in your campaign or in your game, are the players, they're free to do whatever they want, right? It's
Yes.
not like they have to follow a certain path, but
No, I have a main plot line, and that's really, really wide. And I have those lovely players, because they almost play longer than I. Nah, not longer than I live, but it's close, because I am the youngest of all.
they sound lovely.
Oh, you should know.
Oh, guess what? I'm one of the players.
D&D Inception.
Nobody knew that was coming. Uh,
No, I don't think so. I think they would.
yeah, I, I guess too.
No, but yeah, my players are to go back to the point. My players are free to do whatever they want. And yeah, I do set out some path, but it's like really vague. Because in the beginning, when I was a DM, I had a group before I had you guys, and
Hmm.
well, something I've learned, when you say this is an open world and you can do whatever the hell you want, then everything you prepare on the crossing that they need to do is going left. They will definitely do everything except turn left.
Yep. Yeah. Go around in circles. Go right. Go straight on. you know.
Yeah,
Ah.
killing quest givers.
Oh boy. Yep. 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 But how do you prepare for that stuff? How do you know? Because you've written the whole background, right? You've created this whole world, this whole universe, or multiverse in your case.
Yeah.
You have these characters. They have a goal. They need to achieve something.
Yeah,
But
they need to try that.
yeah, but you cannot prepare for everything, right? It's not going to be
No, no, it's also a lot of improvisation,
so. Yeah,
and I think personally I'm good at it, because I haven't got much complaints. But sometimes, because I like to go where it's awesome. So if my
yeah,
players, you guys, um, are planning to do something batshit crazy, but it's really really awesome, then I would definitely allow it. And that has come back to bite me in the ass, because sometimes quest that everything I wrote or prepared was like just thrown out of the window, and I had to do something new on the spot.
Yep. Yeah, I had my adventures with that. I've been DMing now for I think it's a year or two now. Before that, I was always a player, but yeah, I've had a few of those things. It sucks.
Yes and no. It's just how you come back from it, I think. For
Yeah, yeah,
if I look
exactly.
at our campaign, because we're playing now in real life time for 4 years. Yeah, four and a half.
Yeah.
And well, if I look at that campaign, and it's really funny that we're gonna do this talk right now because I've been reading back the recap that we held, and
Oh
this
yeah.
is like such a massive, awesome story. I'm like, call Peter Jackson, and we're gonna have a kick-ass series.
Yeah, if we could.
Better than The Witcher and better than Lord of the Rings that's coming. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for being an actor in your play then.
It would be funny though to play like if they ever gonna film it and then they want the real players to play in the movie. I would literally laugh so loud. It's gonna be such a. I think that would be Lord of the Rings and The Witcher meets Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, well, that sums it up pretty well actually.
Or
God
Harold and
damn.
Kumar go to White Castle. I think that would be the combination. Oh, it
Harold
would
and
be so
Kumar tried
funny.
to save humanoid kind.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, the game is so incredibly huge, or you can basically do whatever you imagine, right? You have restrictions because there's rules for the game to play. Otherwise, yeah, well, what fun is it?
Yeah,
But rules are meant to be broken or bent.
it's more like guidelines, very
Yeah,
vague guidelines.
yeah, but you have to have this set of rules, right, to play or do
Yeah,
combat,
you have
to
the
do.
yes, you have the basic rules in which you know what to roll because you whenever you come in combat, it's gonna be like a normal game. You have it's turn based, and
Mhm.
then you roll with different sets of dices. So you have a d20, that's a 20-sided die, and so on. You have the 12, the 8, the 10, you have different sets of dices, and then it becomes like the games you play on your Xbox or PlayStation or computer, but then you do it live. So there's no system that has been coded behind it. It's just you playing with all the statistics you have and your dice,
Yeah.
and yeah, you have a go at it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we had as well. And nowadays, people play with like tiles and miniatures and maps and all that kind of stuff. But in the time that we played Dungeons and Dragons, me and the old boys, we only had the
Yes, Grandpa.
yeah, we only used the theater of the mind. That was the thing they called it. So
Yeah, well,
your freaking
it's
imagination.
yeah, that's also nice because then you can. It's as badass as how you think it is in your own mind, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
But what I like for like the tiles and the miniatures, you can just see where somebody stands instead
Yeah.
of cutting out a cardboard token and say this is my character because you put an M for your mage and a B for your barbarian and put it on a like a I
A
call it
grid.
a grid
Yeah.
paper. And now with all the tiles and those kinds of things, I think it does bring a little bit more to life because it is a role playing game, and when you go in combat, it's also easy to see where people stand instead of the DM saying, "Yeah, you're like 10 feet away, and now you're 5." And he sometimes forgets or something, and then all of a sudden he's next to you. I'm
Yep.
like, well,
Yeah,
that's
I
so
agree
boring.
on that. In my where I DM, we use a grid paper and some tokens, just like you described, at least for combat.
Yeah.
So we know where everybody stands and what the angles are and how much you can move and all that kind of stuff. So that's really handy, and I like that. But yeah, normally I'm not used to having all those kinds of miniatures like you have, because you have a whole shit ton of a collection.
I think for real D&D masterminds and DMs, I still have a small collection, but
Well,
yeah, well,
I don't know, man. You have, in my opinion, my humble opinion, you have a pretty big collection of miniatures.
oh yeah, I'm looking at them right now and falling in love all over again.
Well, stop touching them inappropriately, right?
They're behind glass,
Oh, good.
otherwise they get dusty. Come on, man.
Yeah, we need to dust them off. But that's another point I wanted to touch on, right? Now with the whole 2020 being over, basically the last year,
Yep.
we had to switch from meeting up all the time to playing online.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
It's really double. Like, I do like that we can still play on, even though Corona has also hit us pretty hard at everybody, but we can still play Dungeons and Dragons. Um, and it's on Roll20, so you have everything you need to play. But for some reason, not sitting together and seeing each other through a webcam, one is pixelated, the other is not. You name it, it's not the same vibe.
Yeah.
And you know, when we're sitting around the bar here, it's pretty awesome because then you can also mimic the person you're playing.
Yep.
And also with your body language. And now in the webcam you cannot see anything with that. It's a little bit lost.
Well,
in
I
translation.
do agree that playing with a webcam is better than not playing with a webcam at all.
Yeah.
Because I play a game which I played today actually. We only use Discord without the cameras.
Yeah.
It's doable, but you cannot see anybody's faces. You don't know what they're actually mimicking in their face. You don't know. You don't see their expressions, and we're kind of role play heavy. So yeah, it's a bit difficult.
When it's roleplay heavy, it's really difficult. If it's a little bit lighter on the roleplay, then it's okay because then mostly the whole group comes there for battle.
Yeah.
But when it's roleplay heavy, I strongly not advise to do it digital.
Yeah, I agree. Just sitting with a group of friends is better. So hopefully when this gets a bit sorted out and the rules are a bit relaxed, and we can meet up again.
Yep, I hope so too.
And yeah, well, I think it's still great though that we can still play at least.
Yeah. That's the thing I like now with the digital thing, because we can still play on. It's not a lost cause, and then we see each other in like half a year, and then you have to recall everything back. Like, okay, what the fuck did we did like half a year ago?
Yeah, in my team or in my group where I DM, I keep a recap as well, like we do in your campaign.
Yeah.
But in your campaign, you task the players to write a recap for every session.
Yep.
I just write it myself, like every important parts and things, and make a story like you're doing, and I show that to my players.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. But it takes a lot of time, and I'm falling behind now. So I keep promising them, oh yeah, I'm gonna update it soon, and then a few days for before we start playing again, I updated it a bit, but still lacking behind.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I don't do it. For it's a lot of work, and if I see how far I am with the world or the multiverse, I'm really not that far. Okay, we can play on it, and like one continent is completely done. The whole geography is done, and the whole network, and where roads are, and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm at 10%.
So there's empty towns now.
Yeah, there are no, not on the continent that you guys are playing on.
No, but the other continents. Yeah.
No. The continents are almost all done.
Nice.
So it's literally the other planes that are not really done yet, or literally countries with no towns, roads, cities, and whatever that I haven't been there. That's why I let other people in the group write the recap,
Yeah.
but also because I have a group, including you, that can write really awesome. That it's it's also a joy to read those recaps back, and um, yeah, that's just really cool. And then I'm like, why shouldn't I use your talents
Hmm.
to write something awesome and do it myself? And then I get in trouble with time wise and those kinds of things
Yep.
because I'm doing it way too big.
Yeah, there's two things I wanted to say about that. The first is like when you're the DM, you're in charge of creating everything the players are gonna do. So you have to create the world, like we said, the multiverse, everything, what NPCs are gonna say, and you have to make characters for them as well because they have to have a personality.
Yep.
So if you have to make a recap
Yep.
as well, and you have to plan everything out, it's so much work.
And when you want them to go right and they go left, and
Oh
then they
yeah.
meet some random NPC and they're like, "What's the name of the NPC?" And I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, this NPC is now our best friend, and he comes with us on adventures. And I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so funny
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say was at first writing the recaps, I made a point list, and that wasn't really the
That was
case. That was
shit.
that was shit.
Yeah, that was shit. Because then I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, you made all those bullet points, and I'm like, you did that, it's correct, but something's missing. What I needed to remember,
Yep.
and I also lost it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why we now write it all
All down.
full out.
Yeah, yeah. That it took a few sessions to actually get to learn how to make a good recap because the next time I was writing a recap, I did it in how my character would write a recap.
Yeah, that was also a little bit shit. It was fun and it was awesome to read. And my God, because you had a beef with another character and
Yep.
everything he did, you're like, yeah, he did something I don't know what because I really don't.
I don't give a
I'm not
shit.
interested in that. But eventually, for me as a DM,
Yep.
reading that back was really funny. And then I was like, oh shit,
What did they do?
I already forgot a lot because I don't know what was happening there.
Yep. And eventually, I learned how to write a good recap that has a pretty interesting story and that actually recaps what happened. And some of the guys can now instantaneously after the session they have already written it. I'm like, holy shit, how did they do that?
Yeah,
It's weird.
I'm flabbergasted when they do that.
Yeah, but
Because I really don't know how they do it, but
I
yeah.
have a difficult time doing that because I have to and concentrate on role playing because I want to bring that extra bit of thing to my character. I want to yeah, exactly. I want to make it fun to role play, not only for me but for the others as well.
Yeah, but also I think like the group pointed you out as the in-game leader of the pack, and they also really have to know what's happening, and also for the character, for you as a person outside of the game, you also have to stay focused. Otherwise, you miss a lot because it goes really fast in our group.
Yeah, yeah, it does go really fast, and so when I have to roleplay and write the story, that's really difficult. So for me, during the game, I make a point list or some short sentences, and then I write the story after it.
Yeah, well, that works.
Yeah. So those were the 2 points I wanted to say about the recaps.
Right, recap.
But dang, we've been doing this for how long now? 4.5 years, you said.
Yeah, 4.5 years this campaign is going on with a few side campaigns that was in the same world,
Hmm.
which also had like major hooks towards the other campaigns and stories and storylines, and you also came across the same NPCs sometimes, which was really funny.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun.
Uh, yeah, also one you really hate. Well, your character really hates. He's the
Uh,
ever coming, the ever returning NPC.
I fucking hate him.
Yeah, it's so funny when your character meets him.
Yeah, that is pretty
And
cool.
now you have a new vaguely ally enemy.
Nemesis. Yep. And the thing is, we play most of the time every Monday, so you can imagine how long
Yep.
we've been playing. this game.
Yeah, like a lot. Because every Monday, so it's like 52 in a year. And a few times it couldn't go on because people had stuff. Because we also have real
Yep.
lives.
Yeah, we just have work.
But then I think we're now on like almost nearing session 200 or something.
Jesus. It's
It's also shitty because I have a job that in the summer it's almost impossible to play on the Mondays.
Mhm.
So there's a lot that there's a lot of dates we didn't play because of me as the DM, but also because other players had stuff to do. So I think we're nearly nearing 200, I think.
nice. Yeah, that's impressive. And is it going according to plan, or are we the? You don't have to, because I'm still a player in that game, so you don't have to indulge if you don't want
Oh
to.
my god. Well, I thought that you would figure out the main plot in like session 20 or something.
Oh no.
And I think at 150 you have like a glimpse of, of what is happening, and then well, it's like a squirrel. You guys work like a squirrel. It's like he's running around, and all of a sudden it's like, is that a nut? Let's go that way. And it's totally different way I want to do that today.
Oh, that's exactly the way to describe that. It's like, oh, shiny.
Yep.
Oh my god! But it's really
But
fun
no,
though.
it really hasn't gone as planned, and I think also to be a good DM, you also have to learn from your mistakes, but also tell the group when you walk up and you come near a dead end.
Yep.
We had that like twice now, I think. The first one was because we had a player in a group that nearly tore the whole group apart because he was an asshole.
Mhm.
And the second one was that I let you do stuff. I was thinking, this is awesome. And then eventually I'm like, oh, wait,
They're,
I made you so powerful.
they're breaking stuff.
What the hell am I going to put against you guys to stop you? And then I was like, okay, let's redo a thing. And then you all died. So that was like the perfect moment for me to say, okay, new options, new rules.
Yep. Yeah, that was oof. That was a hard one.
Yeah, there's nothing I could do about it. And you were all like, yeah, let's go, let's do that. And we're not giving up. No, we're not retreating. I'm like, I'm putting a giant against you guys. Maybe you should retreat.
It
No,
was
we're gonna
it was
keep
3
fighting.
giants.
Yeah, semantics. Potato, tomato, tomato, tomato.
Yeah, that was great. I survived though.
Yeah, with like 4 hit points left.
Yep.
And the whole team dead, and you managed to survive again,
Yeah.
like for the 40th time or something.
Because
I'm like, how the hell did you do that?
the best part was I ran away again, and
Yeah, you played dead. You just played dead. I was like, and you were fighting the giants. I was like, okay, make a bluff check, and you just, I think it was a natural 20 roll.
Yep. Yeah,
And
it was.
then I didn't even have to roll because I had to roll a natural 20 to counter that. But knowing that your bluff stats were already higher than if I would roll a natural 20, I was like, yeah, the giant believes you, you're dead. And then he fought the other guy that was like tearing the whole world apart, the elemental.
Oh yeah, that was.
He barely won. And then you're like, oh, hey, you have a few HP left. And then you threw a bolt or something from your crossbow. He died. Then the other, it was a Drake that was all the time around, but he didn't attack. He came to attack you. And then you summoned all your summons. And oh my god, that was magnificent.
It was good times.
Yep. That was like the difficulty of that game was like, if you put it in a normal game, it was like very, very fucking hard.
Yeah, but
And you survived.
I eventually died though.
Yeah, eventually.
How was that? You had to have a great time doing that. Turning
Well, to be honest,
my brain into a pheasant.
You died because of stupid shit.
Yeah.
And then the group, like, it was when one of the players couldn't come. We said, yeah, we're still gonna play because it's only one man short.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was like the most smart player.
Yep.
But like his character was the smart one,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were going to do stupid shit, and they put the brains of a pheasant into your body. Oh my god, I really laughed so loud because it was like, you're just signing your own deaths, guys.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there. What the fuck are you doing with my body? And
Yep.
they gave me a brain transplant or whatever it was, and then I had the mind or of a pheasant, and I jumped off an
Yep.
airship.
And I jumped off the ship
Yep.
and crashed on the water, which then is like as hard as concrete, so
Yep.
you splattered all over.
And then I got eaten by
But
a fish.
yep. But then came the funny part because that was all pretty shit. And were you also there?
I was there, yeah.
Cool.
I
But
was
then,
I was there, crying on the
yeah,
inside.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that was so fun. But eventually, the solution you came with to play on and have a reason to be within the group in game was genius.
Yeah. It was part your idea as well, though. Because my character
Can't
died.
remember that, but
All the contingency plans I had installed were disabled by a person inside my organization. So I had blood vials left, so they could even eventually revive me if they wanted, but those were destroyed. So I got told, yeah, your character is absolutely dead, and there's no way to bring him back except for a wish.
yeah.
Well, shit. What am I going to play? I have no friends that actually want to bring him back because I'm a douchebag.
Yep, your character's a real douchebag.
Yeah, my character was a real douchebag, and so we're like, oh fuck, how are we going to do this? And I'm like, wait, I could play his girlfriend. He-
But wait, you're forgetting something.
yeah.
Time to open number 2.
Number 2. Very nice.
Okay, but yeah, you played his girlfriend.
Yeah.
That was no. You play his wife.
Oh yeah, they got married. Yeah.
Oh, you don't. Well, you're in luck that you are not your character. 'Cause you would
Exactly.
have got ass whooping of that woman. What a power woman that is.
Oh, yeah, she's a wall.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, she was an artificial intelligence that I found somewhere in an ancient lab, and I took that with us in a special cube, I think, and then we inserted that.
Whoa. You're forgetting the most important part. She was an artificial intelligence, but of course, this is Dungeons and Dragons, medieval style.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like this super big. How do you call those carriages in English? They walk outside playing music of the paper.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's a carousel.
It's really stupid. Yeah, carousel, but that's the Dutch name. Is it also in English?
I don't know.
I don't know. But
I'll
those
look it
things,
up. I'll post a picture of it.
yeah, they walk outside with it, and then they just turn a wheel, and the music comes out, and there's all those stupid puppets that like move around and shit. I really hate those things, man. It's here in Arnhem. I'm
Yep.
almost ready to kill the guy, but okay. There's like that system, and there were like a million books going through that, and that was the artificial intelligence. Like, because I wanted to explain it because I thought it was fucking genius, but I thought of just giving myself a compliment here. Let's go on.
That's
Your
fine.
wife was an artificial intelligence.
Yep. And I eventually brought that with me. I don't know. I can't remember how I did that. I think in a bag of holding.
With your bag of holding.
And so we brought that, and I made a wall. I made an artificial intelligent wall to keep everything out.
Yep, and then he forgot one thing, and that was that he forgot about the wall and went on a quest and came back like a year later.
Mhm.
So, what does every self-respecting woman do when he gets back? Get pissed for her man leaving for a year and then coming back like nothing happened. The only thing he forgot, lovely listeners and followers on YouTube or whatever the fuck you're looking at, he forgot that he built in like these massive ballistas that would like not pierce you, they will go right through you
Yep.
and sever your upper body from your legs, and the whole middle part's gone.
Ah,
So that was a really nice reuniting with your love
yeah,
that
that
day.
was neat. Then we got forcefully married, but it was great.
Yeah,
And
I don't know. It wasn't forcefully. You were very inclined to do
yeah, I
so.
was very inclined. And yeah, so that was great. So I got to play her as well. And now after a quest with other characters that know each other, we brought them back together, and eventually we got to make a wish to bring back my old character.
Yep.
And he's now in charge again, and it's fucking hilarious.
Wow. Charge.
Well,
He thinks he's in charge.
they brought him back, and they're like, yeah, you're the smart one. You have a plan to save humanoid kind, and I'm like, no,
Yep.
no, I don't. But I'm an egocentric maniac, so yes, I do.
Yep.
It's
It's really funny that they're following you in character because, man, if I would know you in real life, I would be avoiding you as hell.
yeah. Basically, I'm a walking disaster. But it's fun playing. I really enjoy it. It's one of the story that's the thing, right? For playing D&D, you get these stories that you can tell with your friends. Like, remember when this happened? It was so epic, and that's one of the things I
Yeah, but
really
it's
love.
also really funny because when I'm talking to other people about Dungeons and Dragons who don't play,
Yeah,
I'm telling this so vividly that they can taste what you ate, and they can hear the songs of bards, and they can just see the meadows that I described, and then all of a sudden they go back into reality and they ask me, "So you play LARP?" I'm like, "No." But then how could he kill him with an axe that you threw? And I'm like, yeah, it's role play, so it's all in your own
yeah,
mind.
it's in your
And then they
imagination and
look at me like,
the roll of the
dude,
die.
yep,
Yeah, it's so good.
yeah, the roll of the die. That's a thing, because sometimes you're so happy, and sometimes people cry inside
Oh my
for rolling
god,
natural one.
natural ones. Yep, too fucking many.
Mhm.
Against your natural 20s who are just coming like, I don't know, the fucking plague. It's like, holy
Yeah,
shit.
I don't know that, but since I started D&D, I'm rolling natural 20s as a modifier. I had like when I played as a player, because for me it's the other way around. You played a lot of times as a player, and now you're DMing. And for me, I had a really short window of playing, and then I became the DM.
Yeah.
Um, but when I played, it was eventually that the DM was like, okay, everybody put everything off the table. Adam, roll your die where we can all see it. I'm like, yeah, sure. Because he thought I was cheating. And, when we're playing Munchkin, where one of the rules is like, you can cheat as much as you want. You just don't need to get caught. I'm like, okay, then I'm cheating as much as I can.
Yep.
But in D&D, it's if you cheat, it brings down the
Yeah,
whole
it takes away the fun.
atmosphere. Yeah, so I don't do it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I will roll open every roll. And then I was throwing more natural 20s. He was like, okay, do it behind your hand. I'm like, sure. I don't know, like, I think my
Yeah.
lucky streak or something, but after, how old am I now? 29. So after 11 years, that lucky streak hasn't gone away.
Nope, no, we're still dying by it. But
Yeah.
it's so fun,
And,
and
and there are a lot of natural 20s I negate because it also said in the DMG, so the Dungeon Master Guide,
yeah.
it also said like if you're the Dungeon Master, it is as much as your part is as much as the part of the players to have a nice and lovely game.
Right.
So
Yeah, I agree.
if you can help them some way, you may cheat. And how much I have cheated with not saying that I have a natural 20, but just counted it as a normal attack roll.
Yep.
God, that's a lot. So I think the party would have died way earlier if
Yeah,
I didn't.
exactly. But that's what I like as well. For me in my campaign, it's not about getting to kill my players. It's about having my players go on a great fun adventure. And yeah, if they do really really stupid stuff, then things might happen. But otherwise, there's always a chance to survive stuff.
Yeah, but it's also with you guys. I also always build like one or two fail safes, which you can discover or you can do.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you don't do it, or story wise, you have to die because then you go to another dimension or something like that. Yeah, then fuck it, you will die.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've also played with a DM that was really, this is my world and I'm gonna do whatever I want and you need to die. And that game wasn't fun at all. It was like played 1 month with that guy.
Dang. Yeah, I have some experience with that as well. It was just made for the DM, and he wanted to play the game he wanted. And
You were just puppet to this world.
yeah, basically you were just the pawns on a chessboard, basically, and that's not fun. You want to have some freedom to do what you want to do. It's give and take mostly.
Yeah, yeah, because that's also the negative side of Dungeons and Dragons. Like there are what I've heard of a few people, y- the DM can also players can really make or break a game.
Yes.
I think the DM could do it worse because he is everything in the world. If you encounter a dragon, he's the dragon. If you encounter a beggar, he's the beggar. If you encounter a god, he's that god.
Yep.
But also like in the player's handbook, it also says, oh no, in the Dungeon Master Guide, it in fourth edition, it said you have a few different types of players, and I think that was really smart of them to put in there, and they called it the problem players. And you also have normal types of players, and there's like the storyteller who likes to babble a lot, but he doesn't give other players much space. And
Hmm.
but it had a few things that type archetype of player does, and what the negative side of that was, and how you can counter it in a fun and nice way.
Yep.
And then you had the piece of the problem players, and it's really funny because it's like the prima donna player. That's one I remembered really well because I had two of those in my last games,
Hmm.
and everything is about them and their character. I'm like, no, we're playing as a group of friends, so everybody has equal, I don't know, fight time, role play time.
I feel you're like describing me now or my character. Everything is about me.
No, no, well, yeah, your character, yeah, but you as a person don't do that because sometimes you also stop, and I can see that you are thinking like, oh, I'm talking way too much.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe I should downgrade it a little bit. And then the moment you stop, we have like two other fantastic players that also are really long in the game that literally take over from where you left. And then we have one guy that's a little bit silent, but he loves it.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. He's really good too, though.
yeah,
I have to. The thing is, what I try to do is get people involved.
yeah,
As in, if I notice I'm talking a lot, I'll always do the question. And what do you think about this? Or just get them involved in the conversation.
yep,
And I think that works. But what I wanted to say about the DMG from fourth edition, the thing that they put that in there, that was really good. Like the explanation of different types or archetypes of players, and I missed that in
yeah, that
fifth
was
edition.
really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know fifth edition because I still haven't read those books. I know we're gonna hop over to fifth when the time is there. Um, but yeah, I think that they're missing a lot of in fifth. I heard a lot of people say it has more openings and more. It's more accessible for everybody because they left out a lot of rules and a lot of extra boons to give to your character.
Yep.
Um, but with giving those boons and those extra rules, you could make your character very powerful or more on the roleplay side
Hmm.
powerful. And of course, everything came with a price because if you boost strength, then the other things are a little bit down, and
Yep.
the other way around. But fifth is they made it more simple,
Yeah.
and I think they made it too simple.
No. Yeah. Well. I think they made it easily accessible, as in it's really easy to get started with, and but I
Yeah.
feel they're going back a bit to their third edition 3.5 roots with the rules, and I like that.
Yeah.
Fourth was fun.
Yeah. But still, 3.5 was way more rules than
Yeah,
fourth.
yeah, way more. But
So it's really funny because the easy part they took out of 3.5, they put a few roleplay things out of four. It's just a whole new edition, and
yeah,
with that comes certainly new things. And I also understand why they do it, because if you look at AD&D, and then you had second edition, third edition, 3.5, fourth. If you look at them, they're all really different.
yeah, yeah.
But still, I think fifth is too simple. Even if it is accessible. But I was playing last, I think half year ago.
Mhm.
I was playing with a group with a few starters in there,
Yeah,
and they didn't really took the role play to the next level, and they didn't really do things with their character because in the rules it says we only can do this. And I'm like, no, of course not. It's rules, but it's guidelines.
yep,
They're like, yeah, but what should I do then? I'm like, talk to him. Just swing on the chandelier to the other side, cut down the rope,
try,
drop the chandelier on the
just try
head, and just
something. Yeah,
kill him. But they didn't do it because it was too much out of their comfortable box of what they knew, and that is because fifth doesn't. I know they built it so that you have more freedom and you can do in role play, or you can
yep.
talk your way out of battles and those kind of things. But I really wonder if it works as how they planned it to do.
But I think it depends on the players mostly, and the players and the DM, how that works. Because if they're new players, they read the books probably, and they know, oh, I have these kinds of actions. But if they're never told that they can, I don't know, do something else with those actions, like, oh, you can actually talk to a person instead of, oh, I rolled for combat. Um,
Yeah,
they've never,
yeah. I think that the DM plays a really big part in that.
yeah, because
Because if you have a DM that's like rule based, following the rules as it should be, then in my opinion, it gets a really boring D&D session. But
yep.
that's my opinion, because I also know a few players that love playing by the rules. They love how it goes. They love following a story, and yeah, I want to give my players more of a freedom.
Yep. Yeah, there's other games that you can play if you only want to have battles or playing exactly by the rules. There's Wargaming or Warhammer.
Yeah, of course.
It has dice. You can do that as well, and you don't have to force people to do exactly as it says.
It was really funny though, because it was like 15 years ago.
Mm.
I was at this place where they also like a game store, and then they sold all those war games and also Dungeons and Dragons and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I saw a dude playing Warhammer and role playing, because he was playing the Skaven, so the red people.
Yeah.
And when he charged his platoon, so it's like on a plateau, and you just push it forward
Yeah.
like so much centimeters as they can walk. But he was like charging into that. He was like, "Yeah, let's go, boys!" He was doing all those voices, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa!" There's a whole new level of nerd to me, and I was like, "I kind of like this."
It's kind of fun. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I also asked him like, "Why do you do that?" He's like, "Yeah, you should put a little bit of role play in it." And I was like, "Role play?
That was role play.
Yeah, tell me more, man. I'm 14 years old. What's role play?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Yep. Yeah, kind of almost the same happened for me. It was some guy brought the really basic set. I think it was the third edition version. He
Yeah.
brought that basic set, and it was before AD&D. It was a really tiny red book, and he says, "Yeah, this is Dungeons and Dragons. Read this, and we're gonna play." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure." I have no clue, but it was really cool how he explained it, and how you can actually play a character and how that works, and you have to roll these dice, and the dice are all kinds of shiny and weird shapes. I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, I really can't imagine how it was for you, like when you're still writing on pieces of tablets and
In caves, what do you
and,
mean?
and chisels and shit. Yeah, but no,
Son
I
of a
can
bitch.
imagine that when no, but for sure, like you were, how old were you back then when you first encountered D&D?
I think it was 12.
Yeah, it's like almost 20 years. It is 20 years ago.
No, that's 30. Yeah, 23 years ago.
23 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was when it was just when they invented internet.
Yep.
So games like on the Xbox, PlayStation, or console, computer, it weren't that much. You had those
Well,
arcade
we
games.
had the Super Nintendo and the normal Nintendo. You had role-playing games from there.
Yeah,
So it was like playing Final Fantasy, basically. They're a computer
the
role-playing game.
Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda. Basically, that's how the
Yeah, Zelda
explanation
was
went.
great.
And
Yeah,
it's really fucking fun. And I've never quit playing. Well, I quit playing several times because I didn't have a group anymore. But eventually, I found a mutual friend and I started playing again. And now I play with you.
another mutual friend.
Yeah, and we play 4th edition at your place, but we're gonna switch over to 5th, right?
Yep, we're gonna switch over to 5th.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually, because I still have to buy the books and shit, and then I have to read the rules, and then I'm gonna do the same thing as I did with 4th edition and say fuck the rules, because we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want.
I do like how you play 4th edition. It's not because I've played 4th edition several times, and I'm not really that fond of it. But playing with you as DM, I don't really mind.
No, I think I know what you mean, and that um, first of all, I'm of course happy to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But also, my DM was a guy who had the same thought like I have. Like, yeah, there are rules and you have certain skills, but for one character, I wanted to set to him like, yeah, but I want him to be like a. Before he went on a quest, and his first thing as a level 1, it's like, I want him to be a glass blower. Can I have that skill? And he was like, just write it with your pen underneath your skills, and I'm gonna figure out how it's gonna be and what stat you need for that. And eventually, I also had glass blowing, and it literally saved the group one time.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. And in 50, you can easily do those things because you have now the DM can decide what you need to roll on certain stuff. You can just say, well, roll a dexterity or roll this kind of skill.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
written
but
down in certain rules, or it's not left out of the book, for instance.
no, but where 4th edition, you had the set of skills, and you could easily put another one underneath it.
Hmm.
I think that was easy because it was hooked to a certain stat, and when you level up, that stat goes up, and then also your skill goes up. And just having the little skill tree was, well, that was really nice.
Hmm.
And I feel they left it all out,
Well,
and
they
now they
have
say, yeah,
even less,
this
yeah.
is all, yeah.
But if you see
And
the skill list from 3.5, for instance,
oh,
that
Jesus,
was a shit ton of skills you can have.
yeah.
And then you have
The first Bible was even shorter.
then you got skill points per level, and you had cross-class skills. Man, don't get me started about Taco.
Oh yeah, yeah, Taco. Holy shit! One guy, I never played 3.5 or 3rd edition, but there was this guy. He said, "Just be happy," because my first DM was also like 10 years old. I was 18, and he was like, no, he was 31.
Dang.
And he said, "Be happy," because yeah, he played D&D longer than I lived.
Yep.
That was funny. But
Uh,
he said to me like, "Be happy that you don't know what taco is." I was like, "Taco? Yeah, it's to hit, attack, blah blah blah." And then he started explaining it to me. I was like, "Whoa!" I zoned out at the first 3 equations and things you just told me, because
yep.
that was a lot of math.
That was a lot of math. Yeah.
But it's also really funny because a lot of people, when I say I play Dungeons and Dragons, for some people who know it or know it from movies like Stranger Things or other things, they look at me like, "You play Dungeons and Dragons?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" "Hey, you don't look so nerdy." I'm like,
Oh,
"You never see me get my nerd on." No, but I think that's also the reason why it has that nerdy vibe, because
Oh man, the amount of times I got beat up for playing Dungeons and Dragons in my days.
yeah, no, but you could only play Dungeons and Dragons if you were a smart kid, if you could calculate fast and those kinds of things. So,
Yep.
to be honest, probably Bill Gates was a Dungeons and Dragons fan, and eventually it became more mainstream. And I think that's also what I want to do with fifth edition, because fourth edition was more mainstream. And to everybody who I tell how my D&D experience is,
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, can I also play sometime?" I'm like, "You just said that it was for nerds." "Yeah, but it sounds really great." I'm like, "Yeah, because it's passion, it's cool, and
It's fucking
it's
great.
make believe."
Yeah.
You know, when you were playing, when I was little, I still remember that shit. We took like sticks or like a shovel and pretended it was a great axe, and then we went on in the woods with a few friends. And we oh man, we fought a lot of demons and devils and I don't know what not. But it was just like LARP.
Yep. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
And eventually you grow out of that, and then you can become a LARPer or do something else. And I think many people lose the magic in life, and they they grow up. That's like it's so disgusting when people grow up because they get boring as hell.
Yep.
And I think D&D keeps
Yeah.
you,
I exactly know what you mean.
yeah, I think D&D keeps your mind fresh, and fantasy. A lot of people lose their fantasy, and every kid has fantasy, and when they grow up, it's gone. I'm
Yep.
like, that's really shame, and I think D&D really helps just to keep it alive.
Yeah. It helps your imagination. It helps with lots of stuff. Makes you write stories, but it helps you with
But also vocabulary wise, because if I look at um, my English, because we play in English in character and outside of character, we play Dutch.
Yeah.
And that's because otherwise you get, "Hey, where's the cola?" And then somebody else say, "Oh, what is cola?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck that shit."
Yeah.
So when somebody wants a cola, it's like, "Hey, give me a cola,"
Yeah.
in Dutch. And then when you're talking as your character or when you're talking as yourself.
Yep. Yeah. I agree.
But also my vocabulary in English, it really, well, it just became better, and because you practice it every Monday, it's good. Now, also in Holland, of course, we all know English, but there's a difference between knowing English and speaking
Yep.
English.
In the previous years, like when I was in high school and everything, stuff like this was for nerds, and you got beat up when you talked about it with the other people who were the cool kids. You only played this with other nerds, and nowadays it's so popular, it's just insane.
Yeah, but I think also it really helps because like the celebrities now show it off, because now everybody all of a sudden knows that Vin Diesel plays Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
and Joe Magliano,
Hmm.
the he also plays Dungeons and Dragons real hardcore. I think that also helps
Yep.
because everybody has like, "Oh, Vin Diesel, he's such a badass, and he's a badass dude. He drives cars fast and furious and those kinds of things." And then he came with the Last Witch Hunter, which is literally based on his Dungeons and Dragons character.
Yep.
It's a whole movie based on his character. It's like pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And there's those voice actors as well that Critical Role. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, I have I heard a lot of people talk about it, but I've never seen those guys.
They are really good. Holy shit.
That's what I hear from a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. But what I see nowadays is that people don't actually play Dungeons and Dragons. They reenact Critical Role, if you know what I mean. What they do is they perfectly reenact what they do on that show. Not exactly the same story, but they think, oh, this is how you are supposed to play Dungeons and Dragons.
I first thought it was scripted, but then apparently there was this whole shebang about that being scripted, and it was not, and people were really like making a big fuss out of it.
Hmm.
But like, even if it was scripted, it's still it was funny to watch, but I'm not really good at watching other people do things I want to do.
Yeah. I have to say you
But
have to check it out. You really have to check it out. It's pretty good. They actually
yeah,
play really good D&D. But what I mean is, everybody. There's people that watch that show. They see how they play D&D, and they think this is how it's supposed to play, and that's not true.
Yeah.
D&D is
It's like an open source thing, Dungeons and Dragons, because everybody plays it how they see fit and how they think
yep,
this is how you play D&D. I think that what I said about the normal rules seeing as guidelines, because
yep, yeah, I agree.
yes, you can follow the rules, but you can just skip off and do something else.
Yeah, exactly. Some rules are just stupid.
And when you're playing as a group and you're having, because it is just a hobby, and I know sometimes me as a DM can be harsh on you guys because I want my recap and I want it before a special time.
Harsh but fair, I
But
would like to say.
well, thanks, but it's also because I cannot. I have my own company outside of Dungeons and Dragons, which absorbs a lot of time. And then I'm also writing the whole Dungeons and Dragons world that we're playing in,
Yep.
and I really need that recap because I am a forgetful person. If I literally forgot my own birthday 2 times, so if we don't have that recap, then I'm like, so what I'm gonna throw at you today?
Just.
And it can be something totally random, and sometimes I improvise.
Hmm.
But I think the things I plan ahead are sometimes better than improvising, and for some things, it really was better to improvise.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just nice to have that recap because also it was really funny because if you guys ever go back into time, you have so many things that you can undo.
Yep.
It would be so fun because I think it would give a whole other meaning to the whole plot.
Yeah. Basically, we have done so much shit. Uh,
Yeah,
but
because the one time that I can tell you, because well, now it doesn't really matter anymore because you're not on the continent, but there was this one time you guys thought you were going back into time, but you just traveled to
a different.
the other continent.
Yeah, that was the best
It was
part.
literally in the same world, but it was really funny. And then there you found the sister of Borant, the dwarf character,
Hmm.
um, and there was one woman that was still alive in the whole dwarven stronghold, and she wasn't a dwarf. And eventually, you guys, well, you talked with her, thought she was creepy, and I was like, yeah, we're going. Bye now. But that was a hag, and it was really cool because if you ever go back to that stronghold, it's now like this big ass witch coven. Because you let her live,
Yeah.
and it was my intent for you guys to kill her,
Yeah, but
but you didn't. So she now has like this massive stronghold of witches
she was an
and
old sad
everything.
lady.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause you all felt pity for her. I was like, dude, she just wants you to buy her rotten fish, and there's all flies going everywhere. Come on, this is a hint. It's a witch. It's a hag.
You,
Get her, and you're like, yeah, you have a gold piece. Bye, because
bye,
you're creepy.
bye, old lady. Yeah.
But that's also a funny thing that I like within my world because I remember those things and I really rewrite some stuff because I have my original file and I have my file with you guys
Hmm.
about the whole world and the history about it. And there are some things you as a player made so much more awesome and in my world. So I kept that.
Oh, sweet.
There are also a few organizations like your academy or the organization that Jay had with his character Norgrim.
Yep.
That's now also a main organization within my world,
Sweet. Yeah.
and you know, and that's what I like about right because I have those. I have a lot written out down, and I'm not going to change it. But there are also a lot of things you guys bring into the game because it is an open world. And if you write a good background, not good, but if you write a background with a lot of openings, then I will use your background
Yep.
to put it in the
Yeah,
game.
that's what I do as well. I let them write backgrounds, and sometimes when there's downtime, I ask my players, well, please explain what is going on in this downtime. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I use that to further my story or to add a little something extra that they can later recognize, and that's really the fun part.
Yeah, but it's really cool because like Jay with his character Norwin, we started the Black Shields, I think.
Hmm.
And that's like this sort of mercenary band, but then like a military group for hire, like the French Legion or something. Um, and the funny thing is, because he now switched characters, but Norgrim still is alive,
Yep.
and he went back to go to his guild or organization to build it back up
Yeah, to
and
make it
to make
even
it
bigger.
greater.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And then we have Wilbert with Borland, and Borland wanted to start his Skeeter Shipping Association, the
Hmm.
SSA, and that's like he builds airships, the first airships he thought. um, and he also went back to his guild or house. I thought, yeah, we call them houses. So you had then the Academy of. Please tell
Faust.
me what was it?
Future advancement using science and technology. Faust.
Yes, that. And that was a whole school and academy with future blah 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 things.
Future advancement
So
using science and technology.
yeah, you remember it. Your academy. But um, yeah, the only stupid thing you put is that you put your second hand in command, and that wasn't really the best choice you ever made.
No. Well, I believe in the
But
good in people.
maybe you have a second chance.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
No, but that's really cool. And because I have the feeling somehow you guys as a player want your old characters coming back, and you also want your academy back. So eventually we're gonna see how that turns out, and then
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask you as the player, like, okay,
the thing.
what has changed?
Oh, sweet. The thing that what we're doing now is getting the band back together. Basically, it's like the
Yeah,
grand finale of the thing. We're getting everybody back together to save humanoid kind from the demon war,
yeah,
and
yeah, and
that's pretty
of course
cool.
I already gave you the little hint that if they got you, your character, Alexis Faust back, then we would start like the last quest of
Yep.
this campaign.
Yep.
So we could finally put it to an end. And I think that's also the reason why everybody's now like, okay, this is awesome. We need to get the band back together
Yep.
and kill it all.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's like you're working through a grand finale, right? Everybody knows like, oh shit, it's gonna go down. And we're now getting
Yeah.
everybody back together, like old characters that we've met or that we played that have died have come back even. It's like, oh, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, 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 it is.
It's gonna be a
And
climax of like 4.5 years that we played for every Monday. So I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, I have also for that I have a double feeling about it because for some reason like yeah this is gonna be so epic because I am gonna make it epic. This is gonna be fucking badass.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
like
I believe it
when
will.
you talk to other people like sorry man but my other DM he made it more epic. But that's what I'm going for, to make because I want to give it a grand endeavor finale and it must be so epic. So that's what I'm
Yep.
going for. But then also I'm like, this will be the end of our in real life 4.5 years time that
Yep.
we played this campaign. It will come to an end. And but you know, I like it because now we can also do some other things. And like I told you, I've been building this whole world, multiverse, and we're still stuck in one world. And to be honest, we've only been stuck in one continent and had a few side
Missions.
missions
Yep.
to one other plane and two other continents, but that's it. And you guys also became very powerful and also with the role play and the side missions that you undertook and with your own organizations, you could topple a whole country and crown yourself king. That's how powerful you guys have become. So that's why I'm like, okay, this has to be epic and we have to start over again. That you're back at square one with just a few guys that just found each other and we happen to go on the same quest or something like that, or there's we already know what we're gonna do because we're the vampire thing.
Hmm.
But I think it's also really good to go back to. level 1, and then we also start with 5th edition. So
Yep.
that's going to be a whole new
It's a
game change.
it's a new system, but I think it works. And I think ending a campaign brings all good things come to an end. You know.
That is true.
We've been
That is
doing this.
true. But
It was never the goal to become epic level or anything. It was just to have a good time. But if we can finally close this story up and do it in a good way, then that's really cool. It's like finishing a good book.
yeah, well, that's the funny thing, because I made you write all those recaps, and when I read it back, there's a lot of in my mind that's coming back, like my memory. I'm like, oh yeah, but also this happened and that happened.
Yeah.
And I want to make it into like one big story and maybe even publish it.
Oh, that's sweet. You should.
Yeah, because I really think that the story, and we would like, how many people participated eventually, because we have the
Loads.
4 of you guys and me, and then we had a few side players. We have my nephew, we have a friend of ours, we have another friend of us, and eventually I think 10 people played in this campaign.
Yep.
And we have the core 3, like you, Wilbert, and Jay, that's still playing, and now we have Bram, that I think will, in the new campaign,
Yeah, fits
will
perfectly.
last as long as you guys.
Yep.
So this is going to be awesome. But yeah, it really is the end of an era, and that's the thing. I really don't like endings of eras,
Yeah,
because
same.
it's the same thing like The Witcher or Fallout, and then eventually you become the most epic level. You've done all the side quests, and you play then your last mission.
Yep.
And it's like, what the fuck am I gonna do now in my life?
Yep. It's called bittersweet, really. It's yeah, you don't want it to end, but it has to. Otherwise, yeah, you're stuck in limbo forever.
Yeah, it's also good to start, and I think that's like the thing we said before in this conversation, that eventually I made it so open world for you guys that even I, as the dungeon master, lost track or made you too powerful, and then we had to have a side mission back, and it was really good that you guys died, because that was my perfect start. But otherwise, and I know we also spoke about it before we wait one moment.
Yes. Oh.
Number 3. But
Proost.
no, but it was really, yeah, thanks. Salute. But it was really awesome. When I before the session started, I remember I took you all apart in the living room. Was like, okay, guys, we have a little problem. I let you do a lot of stuff that was massively epic and awesome, but now I am in an abyss of my own world.
In your own shit
How
store.
are we gonna fix that? And you guys like, yeah, we don't know. And yeah, you also said, yeah, but I really like to play Faust again. And blah, blah, blah. And then eventually, shit happened within the game that nobody expected, even I didn't expect. And it's like, this is the turning point. And then we go back.
Yeah.
Then we started all over again with the marriage. That was like,
oh yeah, the very start of the
yeah, we went back into time, but time was warped, and some things stayed and other things didn't, and some people had their memory of what they all had with your adventures.
Yep.
And some people really didn't even recognize you anymore, which you played a lot of time together. So that was really awesome. That was like that fresh start.
Yep.
And yeah, from there it went back onto the epic tour.
You know, the best part was when we started back over at the wedding that we tried to start an adventuring company.
Yeah, that failed horribly.
It's like, oh, we're level 12, 13 at this point, and we wanted to start an adventuring company just like level 1 characters would.
Yep.
And do quests like killing rats.
Yeah, it was awesome. But it's also really funny how things in a setting can change. Because I know that you became the merry band of companions, and further down the line in the game, eventually you had so many disadvantages, and well, you definitely weren't lucky.
Nope.
And then eventually you started calling yourself the very band of misfits. I was like, oh my god, and it suits, it
Yeah,
fits.
it fits. It fit perfectly.
It's
Uh,
so genius.
yeah. Look, buddy, we've been talking for like an hour and a half now. We're gonna close it up soon. Is
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Otherwise, I have.
Yeah, we can talk about this all
I
evening.
know, man. I know, but we're gonna do this a lot more because I like talking about this stuff.
Awesome.
You like talking about this stuff. There's way more fun
Of
nerd
course.
stuff that we can talk about.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, I had a few more things I wanted to talk about. Let's keep it
Okay.
in a maybe 10, 15 minutes,
In
and
the
then we're
short.
done.
Yeah.
But in my campaign,
Shoot.
with problem players, going way back because I wanted to talk to you about that. I play with new people who haven't played D&D before, and
Yeah.
I told them they have the freedom to do anything they want. So they can even stab a person, but actions have consequences, and that's how I.
It always something like morbid with you.
Yeah.
You can stab a person. You can give a person flowers, but
Yeah,
no, it has
no,
to be
but
stabbed.
we had this conversation like they don't like a
Okay,
person and they
cool.
stab him to death, and I'm like, yeah, sure you can do that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's fine. Doesn't matter that the whole town wants to kill you now and that they hire a fucking bounty hunters to it for you, and all that.
yeah. Or you send the town guards.
Yeah, and that's what I like in your campaign as well. Everything keeps on. It doesn't stop if we are not there. A town will keep evolving, keep doing stuff as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's what I
yeah,
really
yeah.
like.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I like that, and that's what one thing I wanted to say about that. Like, if players wanted to kill stuff, that's fine. They're if they're lawful good and they do it, yeah, their alignment will change.
Yeah,
Stuff
I,
will.
would- I also think that it brings it all more to life because if you stab somebody, the town guards will come after you. If you kill like 3 town guards, then the whole town dislikes you. It's like how it in medieval times would have gone, I think,
Yep.
because I don't live there. But and you as a DM, and especially when you have your own world or multiverse in my case,
Hmm.
you have to grow with the characters.
Yep.
So if they do something that significantly changed something, like you guys really brought an empire that was living under the earth. It was a whole dwarven kingdom. You brought them back to the surface, and eventually they claimed like a big region of the continent.
Yep.
So
That was fun.
eventually I had to change my map and change a few other things, but it has to grow because they cannot come to the surface and like, oh yeah, no, nothing will change, and we will just come here and go.
Them going back to the surface has influence on the other countries and other continents over there because they're like, oh shit, they're taking our land. So you get civil
Yeah,
wars, you get all that kind of stuff.
exactly.
And I
That's
like,
what I think
yeah,
it's good to do when you have players like you guys, because you bring so awesome changes, and to do nothing with it is like, no, you have to play in my world, and we're not gonna change my world. And I told you guys it was an open world, so
yep.
we have to act like it's an open world.
Yeah,
We can do
it's
whatever
not
we want,
like, oh,
and the
suddenly
world
there's an
changes with you.
invisible wall over here and you can't go there.
No.
Yeah.
I had that once with a fireball. I played also with another DM, and I was like,
I had that once as
changed
well.
really quickly. Oh man, I said, yeah, I'm going to the right. He's like, no, no, you can. I'm like, why not? Because there's a massive fireball coming your way. I'm like, okay, which is the safe road to go? He's like, yeah, left. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna face the fireball. Fuck you.
That's so you. All right, my friend. Did we miss anything out? We had a freaking long talk about this now.
Man, we missed out a lot.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
let's
we
do
did.
Dungeons and Dragons point 2.
Yeah, we shall have a Dungeons and Dragons point too. But for now, we talked about what we like about Dungeons and Dragons because
Yeah, what it
it's
is,
fucking
the
cool.
problem player, the worlds.
Yeah, we'll go in more detail because I'm really interested in your whole universe, and we'll talk about how that's different yours and mine and that kind of stuff. Do you like that?
Oh yeah, I would love that because comparison is great because maybe you can inspire me to do some other things in my world.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to make sure though, because I'm a player at your sessions, or your campaign. So do not tell me everything too far ahead.
You are playing on one plane and you're playing on one continent.
Yeah.
And I have 4 more worlds that I need to go into depth real further. And then I have like 16 side planes, which you can also go to, which I'm not going to go into depth, but I want to describe it a little bit. So we have plenty to talk about. Just name
Sweet.
one of the main worlds, except for Sonder, and I will tell you everything about it.
Yeah, that we don't get in trouble when we finally start playing the new campaign, right?
No, of course not.
I'm so looking forward to it, man. Thank you, man. It's great.
Cool. No problem. It was awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah, no problem. Geez, that was a long sit through, but I absolutely love talking to Adam about D&D. More episodes will likely follow. I hope you guys had just as much of a great time as I had recording this. If you like this content and want more, please leave a like and subscribe. Also feel free to leave me a comment or a message about topics or things you want on the podcast. For now, have a good one and see you next time. Howdo!